Some days you just don't feel like doing anything. When people describe to me what depression is like, they describe it as just lying in bed all day, not feeling up to doing anything, just having no drive or no motivation to do anything, and no wanting to do anything either. And when I think about it, that is what I feel like every once in a while, just not any drive to do anything. Do I want to play a game? No. Do I watch anime? No. Do I want to record? No. Do I want to write? No. And when this happens to me, it makes me, it begs the question of, is that anything to do with something like depression? And I, of course, know it's not. It has nothing to do with it. But some people would come back to me with, well, since you've never been depressed, how would you know what it felt like? And thusly, it could be because you've never felt it to know it. And to that I say, if I've never been depressed, wouldn't that correlate to no, it's not that? And yeah, that is how English works. But I'm digressing. When I think about it, it leads me to the whole idea chain of things like synthesis and depression and anger issues and things like that, that really everyone has small doses of those, and it's something that everyone has, is some people have it magnified. And thinking about that is interesting, someone who only sleeps for like a couple hours but has a dream every time they do, or someone who has the ability to look at a certain row of numbers and pick one out instantly because it's a different color, because it is that number. Things like that. Those sort of issues, or those sort of rewirings, if those sort of things are kind of, everyone has them to an extent, that some people are born with stronger ones, and some people have learned to have stronger ones. I wonder about that when this sort of thing happens, but that is a whole different discussion for a whole other time. I would probably sooner make a thesis about it than an Coherent Ramblings, but again, digressing. I really just want to talk about the fact that if you just sometimes don't feel like doing anything, if you don't have any drive to really do anything at all, that's a terrible feeling, especially if you're a productive person, which I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying I have the mentality of someone who should be productive, let's put it that way. And when this used to happen to me, about around a year ago, maybe a bit before that, but for a good 6 to 7 months, probably around that amount of time, whenever this would happen to me, and it would always happen like maybe once a month, where just for a span of 3 to 4 days, all drive I just lost, and just all wanting to do anything just like completely drained out of me. I don't honestly know what causes it. There's probably like therapists and scientific reasons behind it, but I don't know any of them. I'm just what you call retarded. So I don't really have an explanation for it, but whenever this happened to me, I know that I would beat myself up really hard if I didn't do things, but I wouldn't do things because of the fact I knew if I didn't have drive, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I'm worried about. When your whole life revolves around being a creator, you can't really do anything creative if you don't have the passion or drive to do it. If you don't have passion, you can't create anything. Plain and simple, you can, it just will be terrible, and I don't want to make terrible content, whether that be for my YouTube channel, whether that be a story I write, whether that be playing a soccer game. I don't want to make terrible content, so I don't do it. But then I beat up on myself for not doing it, and it's this kind of a almost vicious cycle. It's not really a cycle, but it is pretty vicious. So I don't know why I use that term, but unscripted, coherent ramblings, whatever. Continuing on my train of thought. And this will keep happening to me. If this happens to you, and it's still happening to you, continue to the end of this video. I'm going to tell you what I started to do. So after I beat myself up about it, I would eventually get to a point where I was doing work again, and everything was fine. I just, let that go out of the back of my mind. I didn't completely let go. I usually started building up, stockpiling work a bit more. I don't like being in situations where I don't have anything to show or anything to do at those times, so I just kind of build things up and prepare for them a bit better. But besides preparing for them and knowing they're going to happen, knowing this is going to be a thing you're going to have to deal with every once in a while, just not having any drive to do anything, besides preparing for situations like that, I also began to have the ideal of, if I keep tearing myself down for not being able to work, I am not going to get anywhere. I'm causing harm to myself by doing that. I am worrying, and I'm basically going from not being mellow and not being able to do anything and not having drive, just watching YouTube videos, just the simplest things I can do, to just spending the whole time just agonizing over not doing anything, and then when I finally feel like doing something, I am completely drained emotionally to the point where I can't do as much because of the fact I just spent all that time and effort agonizing over the fact I couldn't do anything. And so that actually became a cycle. It was harder and harder to get over those slumps of not feeling like doing anything after I beat myself up over it. And then the more it would happen and the more I beat myself up over it, the more I wouldn't be able to work. And eventually just smoothed itself over, but I got to the point where I realized I had to stop it, and what I did to stop it was I treated it like a vacation. What does that mean? I mean, when I couldn't work, I was like, okay, that's my body telling me I am not ready. I can, I should hold off, just spend a couple days to myself, recuperate, not really thinking too hard, just have a nice vacation. And it could happen the worst of times, I'll be honest. It's happened at terrible times for me, but you've got to not beat yourself up over it, because it is just a chain of getting less work done and also just feeling terrible about it. And it's easy to say, oh, just treat it like a vacation, oh, just treat it like this or that. But there's always that worry, well, what if it lasts for like a week? What if I don't feel like doing anything? Or what if I don't have drive to do anything like for a long time? You always get your drive back. You always get your passion back. You can't go through your life without reigniting your passion. If it goes away, it'll always come back. But sometimes you agonize over it so much, you can't really see the forest through the trees, and you end up not just causing more harm than good, but the good you could have gotten. The good you could have gotten from taking a step back and reanalyzing everything, and just thinking about how's your life going? How is your art going? How is your work going? How's school going? How's your sport? How's your hobby? How is anything going? Analyzing things, seeing what you can improve, seeing what you can do better, seeing any of those things. Those are some of the most vital parts of anything. Just taking a step back, analyzing it, and thinking of how you can do it better. And if you just spend the whole time beating yourself up over it, you can't do that. And I know it's an annoying thing, and I wish there was a way to just negate it completely, but your body and your mind do need rest from time to time, and that might be your body's way of saying it needs rest, just shutting down any motivation to do anything. What generally helps me, get out of it faster is, watching YouTube videos of things that are really interesting, or like really things that would ignite my passion. Things like watching thesis videos about certain things, or watching my favorite YouTubers, or watching some older videos that were some of my favorite videos, and like thinking about, oh, how could I implement this, or maybe reading a favorite story. Or for some reason I go to D&D videos a lot, or just / tabletop videos a lot. I don't know why, but I just do. By the way, I'm shouting out Thrilling Intent right now, because that is an incredible series. But I just go to them. I don't know, I just have a fascination towards them. They're like the best of writing and the best of gaming kind of combined to tell a cohesive narrative story and having the ultimate mechanics and freedom. It's just such a cool thing. And I don't have any friends who are interested in D&D, so I can't really do it. But it's someday. But I don't know why I go to them. I guess it's because it gives me a lot of food for thought, for stories, for editing, for pretty much anything really. It's best of mechanics and best of portraying a story. So it's kind of in that realm of reigniting my passion, and is great entertainment. There's like 7-8 sessions in it, and each session's an hour to 2 hours long, so it helps you just like take your mind off of not being able to work. So with saying that I think I should end this with something profound, something like, oh, if you work hard, you can do it. Friendship will win any battle. But I don't know if I really have something like that to say, besides sometimes you really, truly just have to realize that just because you can't do something now, just because right here, right now, you cannot do something, doesn't mean that you've lost. It doesn't mean that you can't ever not do it. It doesn't mean you can't ever go back to it, or ever lose out on it. There's always a second chance. There's always another time, another place. And sometimes maybe you didn't do it that time because doing it in a future time is better for you. You always have to think about it that way. Well, maybe if I had, done this right here, right now, I wouldn't have gotten any results. But maybe doing it in the future, I would have gotten tons of results. It's hard to say. It's honestly hard to say. And because of that, you don't always have to think about like you're losing out. Sometimes you have to think about it like maybe you're getting just the insight or just the timing you needed.